What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a Pillars of Eternity lore video about Abydon, who is one of the gods in the universe of Pillars of Eternity. A couple things right off the bat. Gonna be some spoilers here and there for quite a few subjects, but especially the White March DLC for the first Pillars of Eternity. Moreover, I do want to mention that for every god besides Barath and Eothas, there's not a lot of in-game footage to show off. So most of this video is going to be pictures or just things kind of around Abydon that involve him, but he's not specifically in-game, so I can't really show him off besides pictures. So, feel free to just listen to the video instead. Abydon is, of course, one of the gods. So what is he the god of? Well, quite a few things, actually. Abydon is the god of crafting, the forge, duty, progress, industry, things like that. But most of what we know about Abydon actually revolves around something he used to be the god of, which is especially interesting in the pantheon that we have here, because this is only something that comes up with Abydon. See, Abydon used to be the god of preservation as well. Way back when, thousands of years before the games, when the gods walked the world of Eora in Titans, which were bodies they made for themselves to use, it occurred to the Pantheon that they should destroy the ruins of their civilization that they ascended from, thus to keep their secret about their origins and continue trying to drive the progress of the world further. With the other gods wanting to destroy something that had value, especially in the terms of great works, crafting and things that Abydon is the god of, as well as preservation, he took quite a bit of a problem with this plan. Some of the other gods weren't fans as well. However, none of them stood up to do anything about this. So Andra was the key person destroying the Ingwithan society. Andra is the goddess of the moon and the sea. And her plan for destroying the ruins of Ingwith was simply to call down one of Eora's smaller moons, Ione Branther or something like that it was called. But she essentially sent it hurtling at the ruins that Ingwith occupied before their ascension. Now, Abydon, as I mentioned, had a problem with this, so he went to his forge, known as the White Forge, in the White March, though at the time it wasn't called that, and he forged a special hammer. He took this hammer and he chucked it at the moon, which shattered most of it, causing the smaller fragments to fall harmlessly into the ocean. However, the biggest fragment of the moon was still on course. So Abydon threw his titan body in front of the moon, and it hit him square in the face and killed him, or at least his titan, one should say. Now, before we talk about what effect that had on Abydon specifically, let's talk about Andra for a second. As we learned throughout the events of the White March DLC, while Andra believed in what she had to do, she was so incredibly moved by what Abydon did that she went to great lengths to help him afterwards. So basically, to sum it up very quickly, Andra is straight up in love with Abydon because of what he did here. All the other gods talk about the things they are in charge of. Abydon literally threw himself in front of a piece of the moon to stop something that was opposed to what he believed in. And that moved Andra a great deal. So after this event happened, Andra did a couple of things. One, she used Abydon's fragile state to wipe his memories of his death, or more specifically, his Titan's death, as he is a god, and the Titan is his physical body that was used on Eora. Moreover, Andra took command of his servants called the Eyeless. The Eyeless were just various, not exactly monsters, but creations that were used to help Abydon do his crafting and things. Each Eyeless was made from a piece of Abydon's soul, which could, in theory, restore what Abydon had lost. But once Andra took control of them, they instead start destroying anything and everything that could remind Abydon of his demise in his Titan, which is the subject of the White March DLC, the second half specifically. The first half is about reactivating the White Forge, which of course activates the Eyeless at the same time, and they're like, well, nope, gotta destroy that, and an army of them starts marching. And throughout the White March DLC, we have the potential to restore Abydon. That is to say, give him the pieces of his soul from the Eyeless back to him, which is why there's actually two different portraits for Abydon in Pillars of Eternity 2. Because after his Titan died, after a period of time that isn't told to us, Abydon did eventually return to the Pantheon, that is to say his soul regenerated or whatever. Because as a god, it's not clear if he can actually die from something like that. However, because of his death, he was straight up damaged. He no longer wanted to preserve anything because the death of his Titan damaged him as a god. Thus, he is literally no longer the god of preservation. Which brings us to Abydon and this situation being the catalyst for a giant change for the gods. So the other gods, seeing Abydon lose part of what he was the god of over this incident, all of them collectively chose to abandon their titans because of the damage it could do to the world as well as themselves. So they set their titans aside and made a pact not to interfere with the world directly, and only do it through things like agents. So while Abydon doesn't get a lot of screen time in the grand scheme of things as far as the game goes or anything, he's very important to the lore because of this specific incident and the White March, of course, because the White March is what tells us all about this. So there you go, guys. There is some stuff about Abydon, god of the forge, crafting, patron god of the Knights of the Crucible from the first game even. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.